Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcome back to the Right Brain segment, where we explore how science, soul, and sound collide to shape the creative mind. Today, we're unpacking something pretty extraordinary, the rhythm between the brain and the heart. Now, did you know that your heart sends more messages to your brain than your brain sends to your heart? Studies from the Heart Math Institute and Harvard Medical School have shown that when our thoughts and emotions fall out of sync, our heart rhythm becomes erratic, raising stress and even the risk of arrhythmia. But when we experience love, gratitude, or creative flow, those rhythms harmonize, improving focus, emotion, and creativity all at once. Joining me today is an incredible trio. Our co-contributor, Dr. Robert Melillo, internationally recognized brain researcher and creator of the Melillo method, here to ground us in neuroscience behind creativity and emotional regulation. And joining us is also Ellis Melillo, singer-songwriter and co-host of the Right Brain podcast, bringing the artist's perspective on balance and mental health. And our featured guest, Yung Wylin, a conscious rapper and creator of Good Energy, whose journey through ADHD, mindfulness, and heart rhythm challenges has become a story of transformation, focus, and higher vibration. Welcome to the show, superstars.
I'm back.
You're back, baby. Okay, so I'm going to start with you. You've said that after sleepless nights, you sometimes feel a tightness in your chest, and once you rest, that sensation fades. How do you interpret that mind-body feedback loop? Do you sense a direct connection between your emotional state and your heart rhythm when that happens?
Yeah. So with, like you mentioned, sleeplessness, I mean, we all know that when you don't sleep, your brain doesn't have the ability to restore itself and do the things to perform at its best potential. So, when I do that, when I'm up all night, whether it's an event, a business thing, a studio thing, the next day I just feel like super anxious, super like, you know what I mean? That chest pressure, anxiety, maybe what it is. Because like you mentioned, the brain altering the heart rate, and then the heart rate altering the brain mindset.
But there's definitely a connection. Research literally supports that. When we rest and we recenter, our heartbeat regains coherence and our brain activity stabilizes. So that's living proof of that connection, right? Dr. Melillo, I mean, weigh in here anytime.
Yeah. What most people don't realize, as you said, is that communication between the brain and the heart. But they also don't realize that the right and left brain actually control the heart rhythms differently. There are two different pacemakers on the heart. One is controlled by the right brain, one is controlled by the left brain. And it all comes down to the balance of what we call the sympathetic fight or flight, or the parasympathetic rest and digest, or the vagus nerve. So it really, what we see is people that have a big right brain might have overactivity, and that might affect the right pacemaker. So a couple of things. One is you've been pretty open about that you struggle with or ADHD, or you were labeled with ADHD, and then you also have these heart issues, which is really the combination. When you have the heart problem, does your heart suddenly feel like it takes off? Is it you get fast, or do you have an arrhythmia? What is the actual issue?
There are moments where it like tries to, flutter or something like that. And the issue at the time of being diagnosed with the heart situation, it was just the rhythm, I guess. The EKG was showing, like a Brugada syndrome type of thing. I had never heard of that before. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I look it up, and like, we don't want to scare you, but you could basically just die at any moment. And I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, so
slow down.
That's more like an arrhythmia, right? Which typically we see with a left brain delay with really strong right brain. It can actually affect the spacing of the rhythm. So, with that, again, a lot of the whole point of our podcast here is that, we work with a lot of artists like yourself that are really gifted in the right brain, and that, have that talent, that musical writing, singing, performing. But also may have some deficits, and that may also lead to some mental health issues. So, that's a lot of what Ellis and I talk about. And she's had a lot of her own issues with that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, without a doubt. And just to piggyback what Dr. Melillo said, and then I'll hand it off to Ellis, but that constant adrenaline that both you and Ellis live under, right? The long nights, the emotional highs, those creative surges. I mean, that really is, you have to be in control of regulating your nervous system so that, in fact, your creativity doesn't come at the expense of your heart health, right? And that's, I
Yeah.
think, at the heart of what Dr. Melillo is really trying to say here. But it's powerful that we're describing emotional awareness in real time right now, because that self-regulation that you practice, that Ellis has learned to practice, is something even neuroscience points to as an essential for long-term cognitive and cardiac health, right? So I think this is extremely beneficial, this conversation.
Yeah.
Ellis, what do you think?
Yeah, when you're on stage, do you ever feel like your heartbeat is kind of syncing up with the rhythm? Like maybe you and the audience are kind of vibrating on the same frequency. What's the energetic exchange for you?
Yeah, right before I go up, it's like just a slight nervousness, but once I'm up there, I just kind of like zone out. I mean, I guess I've done it for so long now. It's like just muscle memory, like being on the same frequency with people. You got that percent of people that are just extroverted and they're up there, they're tapping in with your energy. Like those are the people that are aligned with your energy at the time. That's the people I like to pick out and, engage with, because it might inspire somebody else to be like, you know what? I want to do what they doing, and I'm a dance too. And then,
Yeah.
it's like therapy, I guess, for some people to go out of their like restricted, some people are just reserved. So I try to, I can be that way sometimes too, just being in my head. So whenever I get a chance to be somebody to like help somebody come out of their shell or something like that, I just do it when I'm on stage or something like that.
Yeah, like you're setting. I remember when I first started out, I used to be like so scared of like if I played a new venue of matching the energy of the crowd, and then like a switch happened in me where I was like, no, I create energy for them, and I'm gonna make them feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful feeling.
You don't want to match the energy of a dead
I
crowd.
love that.
Yeah.
No. I love that. It's the idea that sound and like emotion become a shared current, because that's what you and Ellis do, right? You get up there and now you have to find that balance, whether people are connected with you or not in real time. It's literally energy in motion, different energies, but it's in motion. And what you're both describing, it's like a real world example of entertainment where you have heart rhythms synchronizing between people.
Yeah.
That's that burst of energy that we're talking about, right? Now, Yung, I have a question for you. So you've been really open about living with ADHD and how it affects every part of your life. And many creatives experience that same whirlwind, right? Ideas firing faster than focus can actually catch them. So how have you learned to transform that energy into creative power rather than letting it drain you?
I have certain hobbies that I implemented into my life. Well, hobbies I've always had, but especially nowadays I get to do more of, because, whether I have more money now or I have more time, like outdoor activities, fishing, shooting guns, at the gun range. Also cooking. I love to cook, but when I'm first learning a recipe, it takes me 3 hours to, read through the, recipes, and like I'm back and forth. I'm like forgetting what I'm supposed to add. But once I learn the recipe, which it's just like this little flow state, and then I get to add my own little spices of ADHD in there, and then I just have this delicious recipe that I made. You know what I mean? I have like one of the best chili recipes in the world right now. I'm telling you, it's got like 30 ingredients in it.
I'm going to let Dr. Melillo unpack this one with the 30 ingredients and the 3 hours it takes you to learn it. But what you're saying is incredible because you've turned what some would call, a limitation into your greatest asset by figuring out these, as silly as it may seem, what you just described are modalities to help you calm and regulate a part of your brain. And I'm going to let the scientist here, the creative expert here, but that creative hyperburst, that's something many right brain dominant minds share. I'm like that too. So you've learned to ride it instead of fighting it. And I love that.
Well, what also helps is like being organized, like having spaces be organized. So like in a way it keeps you from being or it keeps me from being like losing things or not remembering where I put something. Like if I like take the time to like put something in like, my phone, my keys, something like that, I can't tell you how many times I've like missed the Uber or been late to something because I couldn't find something I just had 5 seconds ago, so that
I can heavily relate to that.
time management, money management, just quality of life all over, overall, it helps.
Yeah, first of all, I'm thinking about you, chili. I'm hungry right now. It sounds incredible. But, we like to look at all of this and break it down into real, like, what is it? What's actually happening? Like, so I like to go back to the beginning. Obviously, you're very creative. I'm really interested in when you started writing or when you really started performing and really coming into your creativity. But as a kid, did you struggle in school at all? A lot of the artists, some of the best artists we know, and again, understand that the more talented you are in an area, it leads to vulnerabilities. And many of the artists, like, Ellis, struggle with some reading and memorizing or doing math or, basically we're dyslexic, and there's a lot of them, but that comes with that creativity. That's often labeled as ADHD. It's really one type of ADHD. So do you feel like that speaks to you?
Yeah, I absolutely struggled with paying attention in class, and I feel like it has something to do with the structure of the classroom and the way that certain schools are that I went to versus like alternative ways like homeschooling or something. But my parents didn't have time to do homeschooling, so but yeah, being in a classroom in a box and like in a little desk and just everything's depending on a grade and a number and grade point average, like that just didn't really resonate with me. And you put me outside, you like doing hands-on stuff, like I said, fishing, stuff like that. There's none of that really comes up, like none of that sporadic stuff comes up. So it's just like
Did that trigger that, or was that associated with the creative part of you, like the music part of you or the writing part? When did you start with that?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote most of my, like starting off, I wrote my music when I was in school suspension, just for whatever reason. But over time I got better and learned different techniques and just different pathways in my brain when it comes to writing music. And I actually didn't even finish high school because I told myself that music was like my purpose and I had this calling to just do music. And every day just in my home studio just creating.
Typical school is directed towards left brain learning. So people that are really right brain creative, they struggle in that. And that's what you said, like being outside learning that way. But again, we want you to just realize that creativity, that gift that you have also may have led to some of your learning challenges, but those things can be changed, just so you know.
Ellis, I know that you very much are this is exactly your childhood, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was wondering, in like those high energy studio moments, how do you manage distraction or overstimulation? Do you lean into that creative chaos or have the system to channel it into structural flow?
I like the term creative chaos because that's all it is creative chaos. Like it's just chaos, until you get to a certain point where you can like go back and review it and make changes. I mean, at least for me, like I love the chaos of it, like just throwing out little ideas, recording it, different tracks. It's just, oh, let's run it back, let's re-record it, it's just chaos, just crazy chaos. And it's just me and the engineer. I don't like to have a group of people in my studio because first of all, I don't want people hearing what I'm creating before it's put out.
Yeah, I get that.
Top secret, and yeah, some people just like to talk when we're in the studio. Like I didn't come here to have, conversations. I came to talk, write music and record. So, and I've experienced that before, and I'm like, yeah, I won't do this again. I'm gonna just come by myself next time, And if I knew how to operate like Pro Tools and stuff like that, I have all the software in my home studio. I just, when it comes to learning like technical things like that, it's just out the window,
I know, I get that.
Yeah.
It's out the window. But
Yeah.
I love the honesty and the transparency in both of the narratives that both you and Ellis are putting out there. And I think that's something all creators and singer-songwriters can relate to. It's finding that like fine line between surrendering to inspiration and then mastering it, because you have to surrender to it to master it, and you have to go through the chaos to assemble it, right? Now let's kind of move on to mental health and transformation, if you will. So I love your song. Good Energy went viral. It's still a viral song. But I know that it came out of a deeply personal chapter, right? Facing depression and finding renewal through mindfulness and movement. Like we talked about, you stopped, partying and going out there and, drinking and started eating clean. What was the turning point that made you choose healing over hiding? I mean, when did protecting your peace become your priority?
I think just being around. So Good Energy is like basically like a manifestation of the collective consciousness of the spiritual community. You know what I mean? Say that 3 times fast.
Wow, that's deep.
Being around, getting involved with that community of people, coming from like a family and people that don't really think that way. Just high vibrational, positive, peaceful people, you know what I mean? They have their set of issues too, don't get me wrong. But just being around it inspired me to just like, I felt purposeful. I feel just like happy and like peaceful, feel like driven being around high vibrational people. I mean, we all do, you know what I mean? And then at home, it's like, I don't feel that. So it's like, what I need right now is good energy. All I need is good energy to be the person I want to be, to be my best self. All I need is good energy. That's the only thing. These Debbie Downers and freaking negative people are the ones keeping me from, feeling that all the time. You know what I mean? And so that's, yeah.
So when your song Good Energy, when you wrote it, that song was the beginning of a new chapter for you, because you were coming out of that, depression, and you're still looking to find like your own renewal, right? But when you wrote the song, when pen went to paper and you collaborated with your partners on this and other singer-songwriters and artists, what was that turning point that made you say, I want to write the song, and then the song became viral? Did you hit a Did you hit a rock?
Yeah.
Did you hit a hard wall? Did you?
It was everything at the time, financially, mentally, working my off, like doing all this stuff, while trying to dive into this spiritual thing, learning about energy and healing and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, I'm doing one thing, doing the other. How do I like it's like it was like a call to action, right? I wrote this song as like a call to action,
Yeah.
like a just put it in the physical. Or music's not even physical. That's funny, isn't it? Like it's
It's
almost like the
frequency.
universe. Everything is chaos, but somehow we all became, to this point on this video chat. Yeah, just everything going on at the time. I think we just got over COVID and stuff like
So
that.
did the call to action, good energy manifest? Where are you now, a year and a half later?
Yeah, it absolutely manifested. I mean, I had so many things show up after that. It took a while. It took about a year to really, you know, see the manifestations in my bank account. But other than that, just the love and support that I got from putting that out, because how it touched people and inspired people and made them felt. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it to this day. I mean, to this day, I ask anybody, some honky tonk bar in Nashville, some redneck in Chattanooga, they know it. Their mom knows it. They don't know me though, but they know the song. They're like, "Oh, I thought you were Chance the Rapper or something." No, I appreciate that, but
Oh, that's funny.
and then they're like, "Oh my God, it's already on their playlist. It's already."
I love it.
So
Well, thank you for being so vulnerable and so open, because that vulnerability is strength, and you've given so many people permission right now to see that healing isn't actually instant. It's absolutely possible, right? It's not instant, but it's possible. I'll hand it off to you, Dr. Melillo.
Yeah, I think exactly what you're talking about. I know Ellis felt like that when she moved from New York to Nashville. I think she felt she was in this, good energy that was her people, her tribe. But she also realized that they struggled with a lot of the same things and mental health issues as she did. You talked about how you go into the studio, you don't like a lot of people around, and I understand, but a lot of the other artists have told us that they also struggle with a bit of social anxiety. They also have a fear of being judged, right? It's kind of this back and forth. You can't help but be creative, but the same area of your brain that creates those songs and that music also creates the feeling of possible embarrassment or shame or, over judging yourself. You said you wrote a song that was all about, you're your own worst enemy. And the opposite of that is depression, meaning that anxiety actually comes with the depression. So do you feel like that's something that you struggle with as well, like a lot of other artists, that like kind of you judge yourself really harshly, and sometimes you fear other people judging you at the same time you want them to love you and your music?
Like being a little self-conscious or something like that. Yeah. And I think it has to do with just trying to be a person of value, of trying to be trying to maintain a image of yourself, or once being like a popular person, like you have to show up a certain way, or you have to, oh, you got a hit song, now everything else has to be hits, and you
Right.
can't put out anything that's not less than, that's not going viral. And it's like this whole, and it's normal, you know what I mean? I think that just comes with it. Like, imagine being the president of the United States, or the king or the prince of whatever, like, of Saudi Arabia. Like, you can't trust people around you. You gotta like be super aware of your environment. You have to like not let your guard down too much. And then it's like, is this a mental thing? Am I like something wrong with me, or am I being smart? Like,
Right.
or when do I get to have fun? When do I get to just let go? Like,
Right.
who do I do that around? And it's like this, until recently, recently I've been able to kind of let go more since I've been in Tennessee for a minute and kind of learning the areas that I go in and just being around cool people who, one, don't know, have any clue that I'm like accomplished so many things and this and that, and just like everybody just treats each other as, family, and that's what it is. In Miami, you gotta just be freaking rich baller millionaire every day, all day. It's like,
Yeah, it's a lot
no,
of pressure. It's a lot of pressure, and you're not
yeah,
supposed to show weakness, and you have to project strength. But at the same time, that creativity, makes you sometimes be your own worst enemy, and it's
yeah.
hard to manage that. But again, those are things that can actually be changed with the right type of things. So I know Ellis has a lot to say about this.
Yeah. For younger artists who might be like battling with anxiety or distraction or low energy, what are some daily rituals or mindset shifts you would recommend to help keep their vibration high and protect their creative energy?
I think the most powerful thing for low energy is fasting, whether it's
Ooh.
intermittent fasting or
Yeah. He's the biggest fan of fasting.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of fasting. I have been for many years, but I've even been doing it a lot really lately, strictly. So it actually does that. It gives you that energy and it makes you feel, I always say whenever you're struggling with anything, if you're not feeling mentally strong, get your body strong. If you don't know what to do, start there. And and again, looking at your brain and making sure, fasting is great for your brain and actually creating energy and healing it. So, it's a strong thing to do for the rest of your life, really.
Yeah, somebody said something very brilliant. They said if you wanted to repattern or break a habit, starve it of energy. And that
Mm,
resonated with when you fast, your body goes into reset mode and you're starving it of energy, just enough of that. And it's not negative or positive. You're just taking away one of the layers of frequency and your body just goes into reset. So anyhow, that's a separate podcast, but what an amazing, enlightening, and soul-centered exchange. I love this conversation. Ellis and Dr. Melillo, they're always on the money when it comes to the right brain, and I love having these conversations.
My pleasure. It
yeah.
was great meeting you.
Yeah.
You too. Thank you for having me once again.
You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.